Hey, stuffers. If this thing is really ejecting nickel, does that mean the aliens just left their cosmic keys in the ignition? Alex here, and welcome back to Stuff with Alex. We are diving deep today, way beyond the asteroid belt, into the case of 3I/Atlas. This is the rare, magnificent interstellar visitor that arrived in our solar system recently, and scientists initially told us it was just a comet, a harmless, high-speed, dirty snowball. If that's what you thought, I regret to inform you, you've been misled. This isn't a dirty snowball. This is a dirty, enormous, potentially engineered iceberg of space complexity, and it's about to change everything we think we know about interstellar travel and cosmic neighbors. The discovery was made by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, ATLAS, in July 2025, confirming it as only the third confirmed visitor from beyond our sun's gravitational grasp. It was quickly determined to be massive, larger than its famous predecessor, Oumuamua, and potentially Manhattan-sized. But here is the terrifying twist, the one that makes Ivy League astrophysicists sweat into their coffee. The object is active, spitting out gas and developing a tail as it nears the sun. Yet the latest orbital data from late 2025 shows 3I/Atlas was not wobbling or accelerating like a typical comet. Comets are inherently unstable, like toddlers on a sugar rush, but this object was tracking its course with impossible precision. The sheer lack of the expected rocket effect forced scientists, including a major Harvard team, to conclude that this object must be impossibly, anomalously massive, over 33 billion tons, outweighing its interstellar predecessors by 3 to 5 orders of magnitude. It's either the densest, most rigid natural structure ever encountered by humanity, or, as those same Harvard heavyweights suggest, it's a colossal, intelligently operated, engineered spacecraft built like a fortified bunker. When the math requires a comet to be this dense and this rigid just to explain its flight path, you have to ask, is this geology or is this advanced metallurgy? The arrival of 3I/Atlas is not just a scientific curiosity. It is a statistical anomaly wrapped in a cosmic mystery. Discovered in July 2025, it holds the prestigious, if slightly alarming, designation as the third confirmed object, 3I, to pass through our solar system, following 1I of Oumuamua and 2I of Borisov. This status instantly elevates it from a run-of-the-mill space rock to a messenger afar, offering materials forged in a distant star system. But finding a third one is where the predictability ends and the real intrigue begins. Unlike its predecessors, 3I/Atlas is truly gargantuan. It is estimated to have a nucleus diameter potentially exceeding 5 kilometers, making it substantially larger than Manhattan Island, according to preliminary measurements. It travels incredibly fast, confirmed to be on an unbound, hyperbolic path with an eccentricity around 6.1373, ensuring it is merely a passing tourist unbound by the sun's gravity. The sheer scale of 3I/Atlas presents the first major challenge to conventional astrophysics. Based on current models of how planetary systems eject smaller debris, scientists predicted that we should have encountered hundreds of thousands of smaller objects, perhaps closer to the size of Oumuamua, before we stumbled upon one of this magnitude. Finding this giant first is the cosmic equivalent of walking into a forest and immediately finding the largest, rarest tree without seeing any of the saplings or bushes. This finding constitutes a major anomaly. It forces us to ask, why is the universe prioritizing sending us massive objects? The structural integrity required for a 5-kilometer object to survive the violence of interstellar travel without fragmenting into smaller, more numerous pieces suggests that whatever mechanisms eject these objects, they prioritize size and rigidity. This inherent bias in the sample we observe is the first foundational piece of evidence suggesting that interstellar objects that survive the long journey intact and are detectable may not be randomly formed aggregates, but rather structures built to last. You know, finding a third interstellar object is like getting 3 spam calls from the same weird number. You think, okay, this isn't random anymore. This is a targeted campaign. Stuffers, smash that like button if you're already confused about how space keeps sending us bigger problems instead of smaller, easier ones. Like, can we start with a little alien drone first? If the sheer scale of 3I Atlas wasn't enough to raise the flags, its chemical composition should make you grab your tinfoil hat and double-check your retirement portfolio. The consensus view from NASA and many astronomers is that 3I Atlas is a natural relic and a time capsule containing pristine materials from another star system. But time capsules usually contain baby shoes and old letters, not industrial-grade metal. Standard comets in our solar system are famously characterized as dirty snowballs. When they approach the sun, the warming causes their water ice, H2O, to sublimate, creating the familiar bright coma and tail. 3I Atlas deviates sharply from this norm. Its plume of gas is primarily composed of carbon dioxide, CO2, not water. This is the comet equivalent of ordering a glass of ice water and getting a lukewarm Dr. Pepper. It defies the standard recipe. While carbon dioxide sublimation is technically possible, it's a sign of a drastically different volatile composition compared to everything else we see in our cosmic neighborhood. The presence of carbon dioxide suggests either a planetary formation process we have yet to understand or, critically, an engineered object designed to utilize exotic materials for venting or propulsion. The most damning piece of chemical evidence comes directly from the material 3I Atlas is actively ejecting. New data suggests the object is exhibiting a rare nickel carbonyl formation process. Specifically, the object is releasing roughly 4 grams of pure nickel per second. The analysis of the gas plume revealed an overwhelming prevalence of nickel over iron, a heavy element ratio that is highly irregular for natural celestial bodies. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb articulated this anomaly clearly, noting the combination of chemicals has never been observed for any other object. He stresses that there is only one place where this particular chemical signature is known to exist, in industrially produced nickel alloys. If NASA insists this object is a time capsule or an untouched relic, there is a fundamental contradiction. Time capsules are made of primeval, unrefined materials. Industrial nickel alloys, however, require complex metallurgical refinement processes, massive energy expenditure, and advanced engineering knowledge. For an object to be spinning out alloys only seen in terrestrial manufacturing, it strongly suggests a controlled, intelligent process occurred somewhere in its past. It shifts the conversation from a celestial object to a piece of complex hardware. Adding to the complexity, the light reflecting off 3I Atlas displayed extreme negative polarization. Its light fluctuations and internal structure suggest a composition that is complex and unique. Early observations even indicated it might have been emitting its own light. Furthermore, though often overlooked, the object's trajectory is unnervingly precise. The orbit is aligned with the solar system's ecliptic plane, the plane where the 8 major planets orbit, to within 5 degrees. For a random interstellar visitor, the probability of this alignment is estimated at only 0.2%. This alignment, combined with the artificial chemical signatures, strongly suggests that the object is not randomly tumbling through the galaxy, but rather approaching our system along a calculated, high-traffic path, the cosmic Main Street. The core takeaway here is that 3 independent observations, the carbon dioxide plume, the industrial nickel alloy, and the improbable orbital alignment, all point away from the idea of a standard, chaotic comet. 3I Atlas anomalies versus standard comets. In the vast and complex world of space physics, sometimes the most compelling evidence is what isn't happening. And in the case of 3I Atlas, the dog that didn't bark is the complete, almost perfect absence of the rocket effect. To understand why this matters, we need a quick sarcastic lesson in comet mechanics. When a comet's ices sublimate as it nears the sun, the escaping gases act like natural thrusters. Because the ice usually doesn't sublimate perfectly symmetrically across the surface, these jets generate a small, non-gravitational push, causing the comet to deviate slightly from the precise path predicted by gravity alone. This measurable deviation is the rocket effect, and it causes comets to wobble like a shopping cart with one broken wheel. 3I Atlas, despite being visibly active, spitting out that weird carbon dioxide and nickel alloy and developing a tail, exhibited non-gravitational acceleration smaller than 15 meters per day squared. The analysis confirming this involved over 4,000 observations compiled over several months from 227 global observatories. The net upper limit on orbital deviation was just 0.028 arcseconds. So, it's active, it's venting like a broken espresso machine, but it's tracking its course perfectly. It's the most responsible driver in the galaxy, which is suspicious behavior for a hunk of ice. The fact that this object, known to be actively outgassing, tracked its gravitational trajectory with near-perfect fidelity suggests two possibilities, both equally wild. First, the outgassing is perfectly controlled and symmetrical, canceling out the thrust, which would require an active stabilization system. Second, and more likely based on Loeb's math, the object is simply so dense and massive that the jets have virtually no measurable effect on its trajectory. The second possibility led Loeb and his collaborators to a truly staggering calculation. They reasoned that if the outgassing rate is known, inferred from Webb Space Telescope data, and the rocket effect is negligible, the object's total mass must be high enough to counteract the outward thrust. The resulting minimum mass calculation lands at an astounding 33 billion tons. This forces the estimated diameter of its solid-density nucleus to be larger than 5 kilometers. This isn't just large, it requires internal structural rigidity inconsistent with a fragile aggregate of ice and rock. This level of density and size, exhibiting such minimal deviation, supports the Mothership or battlecruiser narrative. It suggests a vast, controlled, engineered superstructure designed to withstand solar forces without the chaotic motion seen in natural objects. The correlation between low acceleration and controlled movement is key. The minimal non-gravitational acceleration, coupled with the statistically improbable alignment to our orbital plane, that 0.2% probability discussed earlier, suggests a pattern of intention. If the object were purely natural, its path should be randomly oriented and its movement wobbly. The precise, dense, non-wobbling nature of 3I Atlas, coupled with its alignment to the ecliptic plane, strongly implies deliberate navigation, as if it is approaching our solar system along the most efficient route. If the carbon dioxide and nickel were the engine parts, and the mass calculation was the blueprint, then the object's bizarre tail configuration is the operational manual. As 3I Atlas approached the sun, observers noted another extremely unusual feature, an anti-tail. A normal comet tail streams away from the sun, pushed back by the solar wind. An anti-tail, however, is a stream of dust and particles that appears to point toward the sun. The European Space Agency, ESA, acknowledged this rare feature, confirming that sunlight was reflecting backward, creating a visual effect opposite the typical direction. There are two competing explanations for this phenomenon. The natural explanation, the consensus. Scientists stress that while uncommon, the anti-tail is a natural occurrence, often a perspective effect based on Earth's position relative to the comet's orbit. It means larger, slower-moving particles are left behind in the comet's orbit, and from Earth's viewpoint, they appear to stretch toward the sun. The artificial explanation, the conspiracy. Loeb and others suggested the anti-tail could be indicative of a braking thrust system, a deliberate mechanism to slow or maneuver the massive object as it approaches the sun. If my car had a tail and that tail pointed forward, I would assume I installed the spoiler backward or I was trying to stop really fast. I wouldn't assume it was a complex natural occurrence of aerodynamic drag. The structural analysis from the previous chapter established that 3I Atlas must be incredibly massive, 33 billion tons, and rigid to account for its lack of non-gravitational acceleration. If this hypothesis holds true, then managing the object's velocity and trajectory becomes a critical engineering challenge. The anti-tail phenomenon provides a physical, visual narrative that supports the no acceleration data. If the object is intelligently controlled, the lack of acceleration means the structure is rigid, and the anti-tail suggests active velocity management. The carbon dioxide plume combined with the anti-tail could be essential components of a complex controlled propulsion system designed specifically to reduce speed and stabilize its trajectory in the inner solar system, preparing it for the massive gravitational maneuver that was about to occur. This entire sequence, rigid structure, industrial composition, aligned orbit, and velocity control indicators, paints a picture of a planned flight path, meticulously navigated across light years. The most critical period for 3I Atlas occurred as it plunged toward the sun. Its perihelion, its closest approach to the sun, was scheduled for October 29, 2025. The object was also predicted to pass 0.65 astronomical units, or 97 million kilometers, from Venus soon after. This close approach to the sun places 3I Atlas in the optimal position for a highly strategic maneuver known as the Oberth effect. In orbital mechanics, the Oberth effect describes how a spacecraft gains maximum acceleration efficiency by firing its engine when closest to a massive body, using the object's high velocity at that point to multiply the effect exponentially. Avi Loeb speculated that if 3I Atlas were a colossal mothership, the perihelion is the perfect moment, the ultimate gravitational pit stop to deploy smaller reconnaissance probes using this high-efficiency slingshot. The object would use the sun's powerful gravity to accelerate itself and potentially launch ancillary vehicles toward reconnaissance targets like Mars or Venus, both of which were along its trajectory. Theoretical physicist Michio Kaku amplified this idea, focusing on verifiable results. Kaku explained that if 3I Atlas picked up excess energy as it whipped around the sun, energy beyond what conservation laws would predict for a passive object, that boost would serve as undeniable evidence of intelligent guidance. Kaku called this excess energy a clear cosmic calling card. The strategic planning hypothesis gains chilling support from the observational constraints. We are talking about a potential black swan event, a difficult-to-forecast, high-impact phenomenon. And yet the object will be hidden from Earth telescopes during the most critical phase of its journey. Due to solar conjunction, where the object aligns with the sun, 3I Atlas was largely obscured behind the sun during the key activity phase leading up to and including perihelion around October 21, 2025. This lack of observational data means the window during which the object might have performed an Oberth maneuver or deployed probes coincides exactly with a natural blackout, preventing Earth-based tracking. This temporal and spatial coincidence implies strategic planning. The structure is engineered, nickel, high mass. The movement is controlled, low acceleration, anti-tail. The next event is a highly strategic, high-gain orbital maneuver, Oberth effect at perihelion. The fact that the deployment phase happened in a natural visual vacuum allows the conspiracy theory to flourish. The critical energy boost or deployment happened precisely when observation was naturally prevented, fulfilling the mission without human interference. Drop your wildest theory in the comments. Is this thing dropping off little alien Teslas, or is it just a really big, weird rock trying to get a decent tan? Every great conspiracy theory requires a strong, unified denial from the institutions supposedly holding the secrets, and 3i Atlas has certainly provided that. Following the discovery and the subsequent viral spread of the alien probe theories on social media, NASA and the European Space Agency, ESA, moved swiftly to reassure the public. Orbital calculations confirmed, definitively, that 3i Atlas poses no threat to Earth. Its closest approach to our planet, on December 19, 2025, is scheduled to be 1.8 astronomical units away, roughly 270 million kilometers, placing it well outside any danger zone. NASA maintains that the object is a scientifically significant messenger and a natural relic of planetary formation in another star system. They have promised continuous monitoring and detailed updated findings as new observational data becomes available from international observatories. The message is clear: it is a scientific curiosity, not an alien invasion. However, the official narrative is heavily scrutinized by the very scientists highlighting the anomalies. Avi Loeb, a vocal proponent of the artificial origin hypothesis, has been fiercely critical of the agency's handling of the data. He demands full transparency from the space community, arguing that the public deserves to see the raw data, not just filtered press releases from communication departments. Loeb's insistence on raw data, "We want to see the data from the scientists," positions him as the academic whistleblower against institutional reassurance, a classic structure that drives public distrust. This controversy exists against a backdrop of decades of American history regarding unidentified phenomena. Since the 1940s, there has been a persistent theme in pop culture, and increasingly in government reporting, that U.S. administrations suppress evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence or technology. The Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office recently investigated 80 years of UAP reports, ultimately discrediting claims of alien bodies and reverse-engineered spacecraft, attributing many sightings to misinterpretation of sensitive U.S. programs. So, the government says it's fine. They also said that Area 51 was just a weather balloon factory. I'm not saying they're lying, but if I told my spouse I was coming home late because I was stuck behind the sun, I'd probably need more evidence than a press release. The combination of the object's suspicious data, industrial nickel, impossible mass, and the natural information vacuum during its high activity phase, the solar blackout, provides all the necessary ingredients for a deeply rooted conspiracy theory regarding selective data release and outright suppression. The conflict is less about astronomy and more about information control. Regardless of whether 3i Atlas is a massive, naturally occurring rock or a piece of sophisticated alien hardware, its passage has irrevocably altered our understanding of what is possible in the vastness of space. The scientific effort did not end with the perihelion pass. The immediate focus shifted to post-perihelion observations. Scientists globally are racing to decode the mysterious tail and orbit, viewing 3i Atlas as a critical piece of the cosmic puzzle regarding planetary formation outside our solar system. A key development is the potential involvement of the European Space Agency's JUICE, Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer spacecraft. JUICE, currently en route to Jupiter, is equipped with advanced cameras and particle sensors that will attempt to observe 3i Atlas after it passes the Sun, offering potentially invaluable data from deep space. The next stages of observation will focus on confirming Kaku's cosmic calling card. Did it gain excess energy from the Oberth Slingshot? And analyzing the composition of its plume as it moves away from the Sun. The controversy surrounding 3i Atlas, the demand for transparency, the ethical debate over classified information, and the realization of the existence of powerful, unique objects crossing the cosmos force us to confront not just the limits of science, but the responsibility that comes with knowledge. Whether human or alien, the development and use of advanced technology must be guided by ethical principles. The discovery of 3I Atlas is a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge requires not just intelligence, but accountability, demanding that we develop and implement technologies in a sustainable and transparent manner. Advanced technologies, be they the nickel alloy in the sky or the telescopes used to track it, should ultimately serve the good of humanity and reflect a greater purpose. The sheer complexity of an object that defies terrestrial physics, chemistry, and probability reminds us of the endless steps of the created universe and the limits of our current scientific understanding. The vastness of creation, revealed by messengers like 3I Atlas, constantly challenges us to seek wisdom. We search the stars for answers, but sometimes the greatest treasures are hidden within the quest itself, in the drive to know, to understand, and to seek the truth, even when that truth is unsettling. And ultimately, that quest for knowledge and understanding, the pursuit of the profound secrets woven into the fabric of the universe, is a reflection of a deeper, divine design. That their hearts may be encouraged, being knit together in love, to reach all the riches of full assurance of understanding and the knowledge of God's mystery, which is Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Colossians chapter 2, verse 2-3. Okay, thanks for watching. Peace out. Goodbye, guys.